belly, or you're a nerd. Feed your hunger the right way. Give it a steak burger. 440 East J Street, Pensacola.
Our Pensacola Wahoos are back for another season, and with the new season comes some fresh and new changes. Our Wahoos are now the new AA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and they have a new broadcast home here in Pensacola, right here at your hometown station for hometown sports, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos action from home and away with Chris Garagiola. Wahoos baseball presented by Denny's on the new official flagship station for the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945 and ESPNpensacola.com. Sports is live and local every Saturday from 11 to 1.
Kawhi, him and his free agency, or him just sitting around waiting to sign with the team, had a lot to do with more than just the Lakers. There were other teams that were tied into this trade as well to determine their next moves. And for the Lakers, they still haven't finalized the Anthony Davis deal.
Sports Call with Jordan Glass and Davis Allen on your radio, on Facebook, and YouTube.
Southern California basketball is going to be what everybody's paying attention to this upcoming season.
At ESPN Pensacola 945.
This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I am Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you here as we broadcast, having some fun with you on this Thursday evening, counting down the days until we get set to go here. Excited to be a part of a show that had a chance to sit down originally with Coach K. Stevenson, former NFL coach, only NFL coach from the area right here, and his expert advice you don't want to miss. He's played with some of the greatest and also coached with some of the greatest, and now is a chance I feel like after Blue Angels Week, we truly start to feel football in this area. Coach K and I live it every day. Coach K. Stevenson joins us. Coach, we appreciate your time as always.
Well, it's great to be with you, Chad, and you're right. I mean, football is a year-round sport. They don't play year-round, but my gosh, there's something going on, and there's news, and there's information, and there's an awful lot because of the interest that people like to look ahead and talk about players, talk about teams, talk about coaches, you name it. Every situation you can think of, you're going to have that opportunity to hear. So we enjoy doing that, and we enjoy putting a little, every now and then, some trivia in and talk about some of the backroom things that may or may not be of interest, but I hope it's of interest to some out there anyway.
Absolutely. And guys have so many great sponsors of the show when you talk about the folks out there like the Levin Law Firm, the folks at Tom Thumb, or, you look at everywhere, Pensacola Specialty Pawn from the folks out there, what they do at Bob Tyler, Hill Kelly Dodge, so many parts of the community that truly make this show possible. And we got to thank them because just like us at ESPN Pensacola, just like Coach K, these sponsors are an intricate part of what makes the city grow.
Well, there's no question about that. And it's of interest. Somebody asked me the other day. We had a program on not too long ago with Fred Levin, and he's led a most interesting life, as most of you know. Everything from Roy Jones to the University of Florida support and other philanthropic adventures, and so at any rate, we had a show on, and we were talking about their team approach, which is kind of unique, but the team approach to the law firm, and it's very unique. But it's comforting for people in this area to know that we've got a law firm here in town that'll go head to head with any law firm or group, government or otherwise, in the world, basically. And if it's something that you're having a problem with, they don't just have one guy or one lady assigned to it. They throw a team of people at it, and they handle it that way. And my gosh, I can appreciate that more than most because I know the value of teamwork.
Coach, usually they throw a game at you once in a while that is, you talk about a Florida versus Miami. Usually you get an Abilene Christian versus Georgia State game to start off the year. We had Stanford and Rice, and nobody was excited down under in Australia about that one. But you get a game like Florida and Miami, and even though both these teams have to prove, Miami, they need to get back to what people expected about a year and a half ago. Mark Richt had them winning a lot of football games. The turnover changed, the excitement. They're not at that point, and now Mark Richt has, quote, retired, and you have Manny Diaz, who's going to put some pep in the step, but they still have a lot of things to prove, like their quarterback in Tate Martell. Florida, your alma mater, is a team that was showing the signs, and there's very few teams, I would say Florida and Texas, outside of Clemson, that are riding that wave with the excitement after beating Michigan like the Gators did last year, but they still have Felipe Franks and some questions. Do you look at this game on August 24th in Orlando as an elite football game?
Good question. I'm not sure if it's an elite game, what you would consider an elite game. I can tell you Texas A&M at Clemson is going to be an elite game for sure. Notre Dame at Georgia is an elite game. Florida and Miami playing in Orlando is going to be a very interesting game. I don't think Miami's to the point yet that you would call them an elite football team. And it's amazing to me how things slipped, under Mark Richt, because you're right, he had the ball rolling down there, and they were doing well. Then all of a sudden, the bottom fell out, even to the extent that it was more than he could handle. And as much as he had taken at Georgia over the years, he got out of it. And maybe he was forced out. So I don't know. I do know that we used to have a very interesting rivalry with Miami. I'd like to see it come back, to be honest with you. University of Florida, I think, should play Miami every year. But whatever. I think the game, your question was, is this an elite game? I don't know that I would consider it an elite game. I think it's a big game, obviously. I think a game that's going to mean the difference in a season is Auburn and Oregon. Mm-hmm. They open up, and I think whoever loses that ball game is going to be in trouble.
I related this game a couple years ago. They played at Bristol Speedway, Virginia Tech and Tennessee, and it wasn't going to impact the national title. But I put that Florida and Miami game in that sort of category. Like it's a big game. The names are big, but it's not really the type of game where people are going to stop to see if one of these teams wins or loses. It could be determining the national title, like Notre Dame and Georgia. Even though Notre Dame, we all know the story. When they play some big dogs, they usually lose by a lot. But Notre Dame and Georgia does have an impact on the college football playoff where unless Florida makes an incredible run, they're not at Georgia's level yet, and they have a little ways to go. I want to talk a little bit about this story because yesterday we had a chance to sit down and talk a little bit about the college football system. We talked to Coach Pete Shinnick on my show, and his dad has been around the game, someone you respect a ton. XFL, 2 years. Now, some of the people working within the XFL. If they did something to a lot of these athletes, and it's not about our mindset, because you and I know what we're thinking, is go to get an education, take your 3 years and go to the pros. But the kids today are thinking about money, cash, getting that money quick so they can get a shoe endorsement and all that stuff. If the XFL opened up a way and worked with the NFL to be a minor league sort of baseball system for them, where kids in high school could go directly to the XFL, train for 2 years with a professional style, and move their way up to the NFL while getting paid. Could something like that work? And will the NCAA, or could they do anything to block it?
Well, to answer your question directly, could it work? Yes, it could work. Will it work? Will it ever come to fruition? I don't think so. Number one, I think the XFL is approaching this very, very cautiously. They're not going to in any way try to compete with the NFL. That's sudden death. You're not going to win that battle, and they're not going to violate too many existing agreements between the NFL and college. You know, the NFL has the perfect system, minor league system, and that's college football. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. There's nothing better. So could they use some kids that can't make it on the college front, either for grades or whatever? Yeah, and there's some rationale for that. There's some rationale for a league coming along and taking kids earlier than the 3-year minimum imposed by the NFL. But is it wise to do that? I don't think so. Because listen, what are you going to do if you're college athletics, college football in particular? They're going to rebel against that, and that's not going to help. That's not going to help the XFL. So I don't know how they're going to. I did have, we had Luck on, the commissioner of the XFL, and and we'll probably have him on again. I'm sure we'll have him on again, maybe a couple of times. But it's interesting their format and how they're approaching it. And I do think this, Chad. I think there is room. Here's what we do know that is positive for them. Mm-hmm. There is room for a spring football league. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I've been involved in one, and I know that the attraction is there. Can you get enough players to play it well enough that it's good, solid football? Yes, you can. There are enough out there. There are a lot of players that are not playing in the NFL that could be, that'll end up on rosters in the XFL. They'll have a good brand of football. They're paying them well, paying them pretty well, and it'll be interesting football that will take hold and be a good spring league. Now, if you can live with that and grow with it and be the spring league, you've got something solid. But if you try to impose your league on the NFL or try to get into the fall, not going to work. Or if you violate too many of the norms that are out there right now, you could kill the goose.
Well, and it looks like in less than a year, you had a situation where Tom Dundon and the Alliance of American Football really are out of the picture. And it's disappointing because there was a lot of good people, Bill Polian, Steve Spurriers, a lot of people that were involved in it that probably did not want to put their name to something if they knew it was going to go down the way it did. And, it's unfortunate, but at this time we're down to one. You knew, we both talked about this, and this was it was the elephant in the room. Only one of those leagues had a potential chance of surviving. We just didn't know one was going to go down before the one even started.
Yeah, you're right, and there was no doubt both weren't going to make it. So maybe it's better. And with the XFL paying so much more,
yes,
taking another year to get ready, there are a lot of pluses there that the other league didn't have. So,
and there's a lot of things I can say about Vince McMahon. Any guy that goes to a tanning bed at 65, but at the same time, when it comes to branding and marketing, there are not too many people. Him and Dana White of the UFC, regardless of what you think of their organizations with the WWE and UFC, are two of the smartest branders when it comes to branding ever. Because you go to a WWE event or a UFC event at a local establishment, and there's a waiting line. And no matter, it's not you or I or how we feel about our feelings, people are lining up and paying cover sometimes, even watch him. So they've done a great job branding, and I know that he's not going to sit back and not brand this, where a lot of people with Alliance American Football were trying to find what station it was on. It was on TBS, and some of these, they didn't even know what to do with it.
Well, let me say this, too, and that along that line. I think that he learned his lesson with the
original XFL.
The original XFL. That was foolishness. But he went out and I really admire what he did now. I have to give him this. He went out and got one of the brightest guys ever, Oliver Luck. Oliver Luck is a Phi Beta Kappa Rhodes Scholar. Brilliant guy who did an outstanding job. Nobody's ever really talked about what he did in the World League over in Europe. He did an outstanding job.
Can he still be on the committee for the college football playoff? Is he still allowed? Wasn't he part of that committee?
I think he was at one time, but I don't know that.
It's a lot of work, too.
I don't know that he can. But he's the commissioner, and he's putting it together, and it's going to be solid. And I just think they're doing it the right way this time.
Pretty excited about it. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more here on Talk Football with Coach K on, right now, Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk. He retired. Some people shook their heads. You'd think right now he's on some cruise ship in neon, partying and fist pumping, doing a keg stand. But at the same time, will he be back playing football, coming off a Super Bowl championship that he made an impact with the New England Patriots when they beat the LA Rams yesterday with a smile, said, yeah, I'm coming back to Drew Brees. We'll see if it holds up, or is this just the media? Because everything we read on the internet is true, right, folks? So we'll take a look at it. We know he's not coming back this year, but will Gronk be back in football? Ask Coach K. We'll get to more on some of the things going on, including drug tests. A couple big names in the NFL are out now with 4-game suspensions, and PEDs in the NFL and how it relates to the start of the season. It's all coming back right here on the only NFL coach from Pensacola. Talk Football with Coach K. Stevenson returns right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, Buster Olney here, and my friends at Marathon are really helping you save because right now you can get 5 cents off every gallon every day with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. Plus, you can earn points for additional savings on fuel, airfare, hotels, and more. It's quick and easy to join. Just visit makeitcount.com/radio or download the free app. So start saving today with Make It Count from Marathon. Offer valid only at participating Marathon locations. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. Score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every $1 spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
Welcome back. Talk football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5. You can check us out as well on Facebook and streaming live also with the Talk Football with Coach K podcast, an opportunity to interact and be part of it right there. So if you have any questions, we do have our Facebook page open. And look, very few times I'll tell you this. We sit around the room. I have a chance to host a sports drive in the afternoon. But I'm telling you this as a fan of the game. And if you're listening to the show, I hope you are as well. Very few times in any market, anywhere, you have a chance to talk with an NFL coach and ask the questions. So take advantage of it, because you might have a brew after work with your friends and sit there at the bar and talk about the games. But guess what? You guys have never been in a locker room or in the fourth quarter of a game to win a division. So let's get that advice and the expertise. You can go on our Facebook page, check it out, and if you post a comment on there, follow it, like it, and have a chance to post, we will get to that question if it is appropriate. We still want to do a family show. If you just want to rant about your team, we're not going to do that. Coach, I want to get to more on this because you had a chance. It's changed a lot. The rules have changed a lot. Obviously, the George Mitchell report, I think, was a wake-up call in baseball, but also was a wake-up call to the NFL on what path they did not want to go down. In 2007, George Mitchell came out. It was like a witch hunt. I've never seen any sport witch hunt where everybody that you thought was great, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Andy Pettitts of the world, heroes to teams, were all on this list. Some of them never missed a game when it came to Major League Baseball, but they were on this list, and because they were, all of a sudden, the public deemed them all a bunch of cheats, and they lost their credibility. And for good reason if they were cheating, but at the same time, it was extreme. NFL did not want to go down that route, and many players, maybe or maybe not, have passed drug tests that were on something. That's up for them to decide. We have seen Kevin Williams, Sean Merrimans of the world. We have seen Rodney Harrison's players that were top Pro Bowlers get in trouble. Ryan Smith is going to serve a 4-game suspension for PEDs for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He has started 16 games. That came out yesterday over the last couple of years. Coach, how is the system in place right now with the NFL? And do these players know that they're about to be drug tested? How random is it? Because you've been in the locker room, and I know it's changed over the years, but when these guys fail drug tests, is it random? How much is to that? And what do you think the policies to the NFL today and how it is governed?
Well, it's an interesting question, Chad, and PEDs come under it all comes under the heading of PEDs, but it varies so much. Could be a nasal spray that you get for, when you've got congestion.
Mm-hmm. Allegra, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, or Vicks.
Yes.
I don't know that Vicks is, but it could be that. Could be something that you've had to take from a prescription standpoint. Now, they should be wise enough to know that almost anything could be determined as a PED. So check with your team doctor and your trainer and make sure that they record it and they check it. And if they check with the league, or if they inform the league that I don't care what your policy is, he needs this particular medicine for his health, then that would be certainly would not be a problem. So what I suggest is that they check everything. I don't think everything's innocent. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some guys that maybe smoke marijuana. There's some, and think they can continue to get away with it. Don't realize that it lasts in their blood for weeks. Residual is in their blood, and then they're guys that take other advantages that they shouldn't, and that has to be dealt with very seriously. The ones I feel sorry for are the ones that get caught with something that they really didn't know, and maybe didn't take the advice of many and check it out before they took it.
And there is an appeals process, and during the off season, it's a better chance to get it appealed than you're 4 weeks into the season. There's 100 things going on, and for them to sit down on. But when you look right now at Florida State, a big topic has been, there are very few teams that have a straight bungee jump to where they were before, meaning that you have a steady, slow decline. You saw Mac Brown at Texas. You saw even Bobby in his couple years when he went 8-4, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football coach right there with guys like Nick Sabans and Bear Bryants and folks of the Joe Paterno world. But Bobby, there was a time when he was getting pushed out. Looking at last year, Florida State just went straight off the rails, and it was tough to watch them. Florida State fans, you can have a bad year, but to just look bad, and he didn't have them under control. Willie Taggart now comes in with a lot of pressure, the most weight of any coach. Him and Gus Malzahn and probably Clay Helton at USC have the most pressure on them going into this year to prove that they're not going to be kicked out next season. And you bring in two great guys. One of the things going under the radar is Randy Clements. 10 years he spent around the game right there with Kendall Briles. They've worked together in a new offensive regime, and they needed help on that offensive line. As Trump would say, they had to build that wall, and they're trying to. Coach, Florida State, a lot of people have them even in the top 25 this year in preseason magazines. Do you see a quick turnaround, and how big of an impact can the offense and the change of regime with the assistant coaches help Willie Taggart figure this out?
Well, they're going to be better. They got no choice. They can't
get worse.
Help it. It can't get worse. So they're going to be better. And this is why we go through in the off season, like many coaches do, and we do for our audience out there. And we go right through the schedule, and we take each game, and we look at, rather than saying, FSU is going to be, 6-6 or whatever. We go through the schedule, and we look at each game, and we see when they play with a bye, when they play it, who they play and where they play them, and make a determination, get a little better feel for what might happen in the win-loss column. So you got a better idea, and you can do a little better prognostication when you do that. Now, all coaches do that. I don't care what they say. They look at that schedule when it comes out, and they go down certain games they circle, certain games they say we got to be aware of. We're going to get caught in a sandwich game here. It's going to be tough to get them up. We got to buy, like Georgia this year. 9 teams that are coming in all have a bye before they play Georgia.
Jeez.
Okay? There's a reason for that, because Georgia's good, so they want to get their bye and get the kids as healthy as they possibly can before they play them. That's what Alabama faces year in, year out. And so anyway, to answer your question, back to Florida State, I think their coaching staff is probably going to help them some. They don't play a very tough schedule, let's be honest. They're not going to beat Clemson, not going to come close. I don't think they'll beat Syracuse. I don't think they'll beat Boston College. That's just in their conference. And I don't think they'll beat Florida. And there's some other schools. So I don't remember all their schedule, but if you go down their schedule and look at it, I think they're going to have a great year if they win 5 or 6 ball games.
I think Willie Taggart needs to go 7-5 at least, not to have a mutiny from the staff. I mean, from the fans, because there's very few coaches. Everybody, I think, feels comfortable for the most part, and everybody was saying Free Willie hashtag. Everybody wanted him out last year. Seems like a nice guy. I remember when he was at the Greater Seminole Club down at the Yacht Club, he was sitting with Gene Deckerhoff, the voice, and just a great guy. I know you know Gene, and they were sitting there, and Willie's not the kind of guy you root against as a human being. Seems like a nice individual, but when you're looking that bad and you've lost an organization that you're used to starting your second-tier guys at halftime. When you play Boston College and Wake Forest at home, people are expecting you to be playing your backups at half, because that's how good Florida State has been. And instead, you're losing to a team by 4 touchdowns like Syracuse. It's embarrassing. Looking at that team, though, they are going to be better, but I think this year there's going to be a lot of pressure, obviously. The good news for them is outside of Clemson, this is maybe the worst we've seen the ACC in a while. And what I'm saying is not to say that they're bad, but there are a ton of 7-5, 6-6 teams staring down across the board.
Yeah,
everywhere you look, even Miami's not, Virginia Tech, NC State, North Carolina, teams like Georgia Tech have a new coach. Paul Johnson's out, so retired. So you got a lot of teams in the ACC that at one point were looking at trying to be double-digit win teams that are going to be average, and that's going to help them a ton as well.
Well, I think you're right, but you're also going to have some pretty good football teams in relationship to a poor football team.
Very good point,
so that's the point you got to look at.
Every week is going to be a tough game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at North Carolina State. They've got great coaching up there.
Yes, so does Virginia.
And they lost, and Virginia. Listen, Virginia's going to be good. Virginia may end up being a factor in the ACC. Now,
Bronco Mendenhall's a very good coach.
Yes, and they've got some good personnel. Got a great quarterback coming away. So I like Virginia. I don't think they're going to be Clemson. Nobody's going to be Clemson, but they're a good football team. But FSU's got to play them. What about Miami? You're going to find out Miami against Florida.
We're going to find out real quick.
And they got to play them. Now, there's a big difference in FSU playing Miami and Florida playing Miami right now. So, anyway, point is, you get the schedule and you go down the schedule, and you really get a realistic look at, a better look at. But you have to preface for everybody that when you do that, there's no way that you can allow for injury or other distractions. Those are things that could happen during the season that as you go down that preseason schedule, you can't account for. So those things could happen and knock you way off base.
Coach, looking right now at one of the conversations we've had before was, the new quarterback. We live in a regime right now where the new quarterback everybody wants to see. And now with the transfer portal, it seems more than ever, Justin Fields popping up at Ohio State. You got Tate Martell, who's found himself a nice girlfriend. Some of the posts, the kids today with social media, but hey, he's already winning off the field right there as Tate Martell in Miami. And then you got guys like Kelly Bryant at Missouri. You've got the situation with Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. There's going to be a lot of faces where the common folk is going to sit there and go, wasn't he with that team last year? A lot of new faces and new places. But when it comes to the infatuation, you were a head coach. Is it more intriguing to you, if you had to pick one or the other, to watch a team with a new coach or a new quarterback in 2019?
That's a good question. I would think both about equal. I mean, both are going to have an impact on a football team. And probably the most impact that you're going to get really on the field is going to be with a quarterback. But coaches make such a difference in a football team.
Which one of those quarterbacks do you think is going to make the biggest immediate impact? I think Jalen Hurts is going to have the most pressure with Justin Fields if they do both start, because those are two guys that their teams aren't used to dropping off, and they're expecting to be in the college football playoff mix with Oklahoma and Ohio State.
Well, I think you got to look at why they were removed as starting quarterbacks. Okay, They're not quarterbacks.
They're athletes.
Mm-hmm. They're like the old single wing tailbacks who throw enough to keep you honest, but they run with football. Okay, now whether you can win with that against big time competition, I don't know. You'd have to take each team going against what they're going to play against, and make a determination. And we won't know really until they start playing the games. Now, I understand that Hurt, and I really admire Jalen Hurt. There's one kid, with the change that was made, and which was, he had to swallow his pride.
He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year before.
Yeah, but he had to sit there and keep his mouth shut and be a good soldier, which he did, and did a great job at. And then he got a chance to move on. Now he's got a chance to go start at Oklahoma. So I think that's great. But I can, what type of offense is Oklahoma gonna be able to run with? Same thing with Fields. I don't know enough about Fields to know, but I understand that he's, not the accurate passer that Fromm was, for example, and he never was gonna take that job. So anyway, that's good. That's going to be an interesting look this year. Great point you made. People are going to be watching those games very closely.
When we come back, we're going to take a look here. NFL training camp as we speak right now. Melvin Gordon says he will not report to Chargers training camp, will demand a trade unless he receives a new contract. There's going to be a lot of players. It's easy to just say pay the man his money. But remember, this is not baseball where you can just throw bags of cash at people with no repercussions of a cap. There are a lot of limitations to that, and building a franchise is not easy. Watch an episode of Hard Knocks, or even better, We have an NFL coach. You can ask him the question. 850-972-1945 is the number, 850-972-1945. We're going to come back for more on Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Pros do it right to have the quantities you need on hand for the job by buying in bulk. Lowe's is here to help by stocking what you need for any size job and at great savings, because you can save up to 40% every day when you buy contractor packs of molding. Load up on drywall and get up to 15% off just by making a bulk purchase. Place your order at lowesforpros.com and our pro loaders will be ready to load you up so you can get back to the job site faster. For your next job and every job after, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's.
Summer's here, and there's no better time to hit the road. At AutoZone, we've got the free services you need to drive with confidence, like our free AutoZone Fix Finder service. If your check engine light is on, our Fix Finder service will help troubleshoot the likely issue. And if you need help from a repair shop, we know some of the best. Want to maximize and restore lost fuel economy? Right now, buy one bottle of Chevron Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner and get one free. Visit us at AutoZone.com and start the job fast with free same-day store pickup and free next-day delivery. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hey, people at my friend's company got blackmail emails.
Yeah, it's a popular type of spear phishing attack.
Wow, that sounds serious.
It is. Scammers claim to have compromising information, like a video, and threaten to share it with their contact list, unless the victim pays a ransom.
What if they target someone at our company?
We're secured. Barracuda Sentinel uses artificial intelligence to block spear phishing attacks, including blackmail emails.
Well, that's a relief.
Protect your business at barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
And welcome back. Gearing up for football, 45 days until the start of college football season as Coach K. Stevenson, his former team right there in the Florida Gators, will be taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Good game to start the season, not one of those games where you're like, yeah, it's football. Don't really even know the team's mascot or colors with like an Abilene Christian. But you get, at the same time, you get a team that you expect to get out there and compete. And it will be down there in Orlando. I joked with my friend, Coach, my whole family was in town last week, and they're all Florida Gators. My dad, my brother, my mom, their dog. I'm sure they have him painted orange and blue for the season. But overall, it was funny because I joked with them, and I said, you know what, how cool would that be, Dad, when you get your tailgate group down there and you're taking on Miami? You got two of the powerhouses of the names of college football, and you'll be playing in the house of my alma mater, the fake national champions. And he started to laugh, and he said, yeah, just enjoy it while you can. And they're dealing with their own. They're actually down to quarterback option C right now with, thank God, Brandon Wimbush. And I'm not saying he's more of an athlete, too, from Notre Dame, but his transfer, it looks like he's going to have a chance to play for UCF because Dario Mack Jr., the backup, who did okay in the bowl game against LSU, is now out indefinitely with a broken ankle. So, yeah, we're down to actually, if you want to be a quarterback at UCF, send in an email. We'll put you up there for a tryout. Looking at some of the things going on, Rob Gronkowski told Drew Brees with a smile and a smirk, yeah, I'm coming back. And it became a story. He's obviously not coming back this year. He actually legitimately, Coach, to me, is the kind of guy that I can see never return to the game and be happy because he enjoys being in the spotlight or partying and doing the things he does. Do you see Rob Gronkowski, who's had so many injuries, but left still making a huge impact in last year's playoffs and the Super Bowl, and if he's healthy, is still a Pro Bowler at tight end? Is Rob Gronkowski ever going to return to the NFL, in your opinion?
To answer your question, you would almost have to feel what players have been through, and I've been through it, from a player standpoint and a coaching standpoint. When you're separated from the game, they're terrible, terrible feelings that you go through. They call it something I can't mention on the air, but at any rate, it's tough, and you have to mentally you have to handle it. You have to adjust to it and realize. You put your big boy pants on and realize what it is. Now, I will say this. I almost hate to leave anything in the air, but this is one I think you have to leave in the air. I don't think, personally, he'll be back for a couple of reasons. One, he does have all these injuries. I think for him to really get in shape to play again is going to hurt, okay? So whether he's willing to go through all that and get himself ready to play again, and he's smart enough to know, everybody to know, and he'll be told many times that if you should want to come back, you got to get yourself in shape that you can take the blows, okay? And that you can't do that just running out on the sandlot or on the beach. All right, number two is a guy named Bill Belichick. That's the guy who's going to determine whether you're coming back or not. You may want to come back. You may give up anything in the world to come back. But if Belichick says, no, you don't need to do that, we're not going to go through that. And there would be a transition for a whole football team if he should come back, because you know that there are things that they would want to do with him in there that they weren't doing otherwise. So I think from the standpoint of, looking at those two things, knowing, though, that I'll guarantee he's going to get the pains and he's going to want to. And during the season, at some point during the season, he's going to feel like, why in the world am I not out there? Why did I do this? So he's going to want to. Willie, Kenny, I don't think so.
Yeah, Belichick's one of those kind of guys that could cut his grandson in the first day of practice and never even think twice about it. He's not going to – and a lot of people said, well, what if Gronk just came back as a guy in a 4-wide type set and didn't have to block and go through? Because tight ends take a lot of physical pain through the blocking scheme, which in his prime he was one of the best and very underrated. Everybody talked about the yards, but Gronk was a great blocker at his size. You think Belichick's going to just let a guy pick and choose? That's not going to happen. Not in that system.
No, it's not going to happen.
Looking at Jeremy Pruitt, committed a minor violation. I don't want to talk too much about this because it really is not even worth the time when you talk about he tweeted his high school down there, Plainview High School, and said congratulations on winning a title, and got a minor infraction for it because they looked at it as a recruiting type tool to thank a team that might have a couple top players in the state. Is this the NCAA just being ridiculous, or are bylaws and guidelines you just have to follow and deal with that? Do you see anything he did wrong?
Not with that, but you could see that expanding if you expanded on it some.
That's true.
Would you tell Chad Brillante down there, would you give him my best and tell him that I'm really proud of him for what he did? That's pulling it a little.
I mean, if you're a 5-star recruit
Yeah.
and only one coach has congratulated you, and he's a top-tier guy at a school with the prestige of Tennessee in the area, you're going to – I mean, it's emotion to feel more in tune to him than the other 130 coaches that didn't tweet you. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get what he did. But,
I think there's some way to justify that, even though I don't like it. I don't think you do, and I don't think many other people would.
No.
But hey, it's part of the larger, more invasive type recruiting.
Yeah, I talked to Gene Stallings yesterday, who coached Jeremy Pruitt at Alabama, and he's got he's coached Dabo Sweeney, coached Freddie Kitchens, and also coached right now a number of Billy Napier and some of the guys that are coaching in college football. But he said, he when I talked about Jeremy Pruitt, I said, Coach, you know more than anything. That guy's a bulldog. And that's what Tennessee needed in recruiting. Yeah. They've gotten a lot better, but he'll step on your head, and then he'll also step on your baby's head to get to a 5-star recruit. Now, I'm not calling him a villain, but I'm just saying what the point of that is he will do anything to get a player within the laws or what he can do to push the limit. And he, as a defensive backs coach, wherever he has gone, he's been at Georgia, Florida State, and also Alabama, and he has been looked at as one of their top, if not their top-tier recruit.
Well,
so he knows what he's doing.
Point. We were talking about this yesterday. People don't understand. When he was at Florida State, they won a national championship. He was defensive coordinator. He went as defensive coordinator to Georgia and worked with
Kirby Smart
at Georgia. They revamped that whole program up there while he was there. He was defensive coordinator at Alabama. They won a national championship.
It's good pedigree right there. Yeah.
Hey, that's an outstanding. Look at the guy's got an outstanding record, no doubt.
And it's going to take some time at Tennessee because what people don't understand is they see Tennessee as a team which their name and their fan base will always have a historic prestige. But the difference is if you go to Nashville and Knoxville and that surrounding area, it is not easy. They don't have the luxury of a Georgia, a Florida, an Alabama, or an LSU of recruiting. It's very few and far in between to get a 5-star at Tennessee than you can get down there. They're going to have to start being able to infiltrate Florida, the Georgia, the Louisiana market, which right now is like a Brinks Trucks times 4 with the kind of how are they going to tap into when you have Alabama and Auburn and LSU and Florida State and these teams that have had the success over the last 10 years, how are Tennessee going to be able to break that barrier and get kids to pull away? That's very tough to do, and that's one of the problems.
It's tough to do, but you're right. They have to do it. You have to look at what is available, and it's rare, that they have enough talent. They don't have enough talent in Tennessee, no doubt about that. What do they have? They've got great tradition. They've got great facilities.
Fulmer's back around, hanging out.
They've got. They have a good fan base, an outstanding fan base. Get over 100,000 a game at home, and they have tradition. Going back to General Neyland, all right, wonderful tradition back then. People, I guess it was 1952. They won a national championship, and I think one before that, and then of course they won one the year after Peyton Manning left. But Tennessee, it's tough. You got to get, a lot of their kids they got from even from different states back then. They had to move into Ohio, New Jersey, and whatever, and get kids and kids from Florida, like our own Charlie Stokes. They got from Graceville, Florida, a little town over there. When, by the way, Florida didn't want him, turned him down. So he got on a train, went up to Tennessee, and became captain of their national championship team.
But Nick Saban's even changed. One of the recruits from Georgia sort of let the cat out of the bag. Not that anybody needs to say that this is anything wrong, but Nick Saban would tell him probably himself, what he says. And he said Nick Saban's, when he talked to him as a 5-star for a junior right now in high school, and he said, would you rather be a 20%er or an 80%er? The kid said, what do you mean on that? And what he meant by that was, would you rather be part of the 80% at Alabama, which is primetime football, where you're going to be showcased for the NFL, or would you rather be the 20%er, because that's our ratio right now compared to the other Power 5 conference teams? Now, he's not comparing himself. He did a more brand across the board where he's comparing the Pitts and the Wake Forests and everybody in Power 5, not just Clemson or other teams like that. But what his pitch was easy. You want to be part of the 80%er, or we're going to put you in the primetime game of the week, and you're going to have a chance to get looked at by every NFL team and have that way pave the way to the NFL, or do you want to be part of it? And that is something that Tennessee and other teams right now cannot do. And the easiest way to be able to sell something is to be able to say, you know what? If you don't do it, somebody else will, and you're lucky to be part of us. And that's what Nick Saban, pretty much without having to say it, you're lucky to be an Alabama Crimson Tide player if you come to our school. Where Tennessee right now, from a standpoint of getting the spotlight and the fame and the money, cannot say that to these kids today.
Well, there's even more than that. It goes back to one simple formula. Success breeds success, period. Alabama, Saban doesn't have to say anything to anybody. And they're going to get some of the best recruits in the country because they're going to want to go there to Alabama. Great team, great record, winning record, great facilities, great fan base, tremendous television exposure, a lot of kids in the pros. They know how many kids go out of there to the pros. They all think they're going to go to the pro football and be winners. All of that happens because you're successful, And if you weren't successful, you could have the greatest line in the world, and it's going to be difficult in this day and time. It's show me, and it's just like it's an interesting thing. Biggest difference in pro ball and college ball is in college football, success gets you the best player. In the NFL, success gets you the last round draft choice. Okay.
Well, I hope this kid wasn't a smart aleck like me. I would have said, yeah, Coach, I really would like to be an 80%er. That's why I'm going to Georgia. Because there's only two teams, Georgia and Clemson, that right now have been in that realm of probably getting you on the national spotlight like Alabama lately. They haven't been doing it as long, but lately those two teams are in that mix. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more about the NFL training camps. We'll get to more on what's going on here with the most impactful moves of the NFL offseason, from Antonio Brown to Odell Beckham Jr. It's all coming back on Talk Football with Coach K. Stevenson right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game where you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Don't drop the ball this football season. Make Tom Thumb your game day destination. We are your first round pick for snacks, chips, dips, and drinks. Are you tailgating before the game? Don't get blindsided. Head to Tom Thumb for all your supplies. score big savings with our rewards card. You'll earn 4 fuel points for every dollar spent in store. From hot dogs and buns to ice and propane, Tom Thumb has you covered to help you enjoy the game. For the ultimate game day, team up with Tom Thumb, the local store for local champions.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. I'm Chad Brillante alongside Coach K. Stevenson, former NFL coach, joined each and every day. Jordan Glass heading down, working a double today with Cat Country 98.7, doing a great job as always. And I know News Radio 92.3 below us, covering the Blue Angels this week, and huge impact. Coach, I know you've lived here on the Emerald Coast in Pensacola throughout your life, and the Blue Angels, regardless of the traffic jams, because you live in Gulf Breeze, or trying to deal with the craziness of finding a spot on the beach, the impact that the Blue Angels have is tremendous.
Yeah, it is. And, gosh, what a wonderful thing to have the Blues stationed here every year. And this Blue Angel weekend, though, is, wow, it's it's quite hectic, but it's worth it. It's worth it to have them,
Yeah, my wife said they're going out there at 2 o'clock, and I was like, all I could say is good luck. They're going to head out and watch the practice shows. Good luck on that one. I will not be. I will watch the highlights later on the news. Looking at some of the things going on right now, we talked a little bit about the most impactful moves of the NFL offseason. There's been a lot of them. There's not as much as college football with new quarterback faces, but there are going to be some big ones. Looking at the quarterback, Nick Foles, to me, is the one that stands out from Jacksonville. But you do have other faces like Case Keenum's going to get his shot if Dwayne Haskins isn't ready right away at Washington. You have Joe Flacco that'll be competing there in Denver. Is there any guy that really you think is under the radar, or a guy that maybe will take that next step that has been an impactful offseason move this year?
Let me tell you, there have been some very impactful offensive moves or moves by teams. And let me just throw one out to you. The Raiders, Oakland Raiders. Now they go out before the draft. They get supposedly the best receiver in football. Some people say I don't necessarily agree with, but he's one of the best. And Brown from the Steelers. They get who some call the best left tackle in football in Trent Brown from the New England Patriots. You got 2 All-Pros before you ever make a draft pick. They end up with the guard, the left guard. He's been a rogue in many ways, but he's tough. And I'm going to tell you, he will make a positive, if they handle him right, he'll make a positive influence, just like we did with Conrad Dobler. Everybody said we were crazy for bringing Dobler in. Wow, man. But he helped our offensive line tremendously.
He's a great offensive lineman. You're talking of Richie Incognito on the field. Yeah.
So you got Incognito and you got Brown on the left side. What have you done to a football team right there? There are people that draft for years trying to get players like that and don't get them, and they got them in one fell swoop without a draft. And then they got a great receiver. They got a good running back in the draft. I think they got a good defensive player. A lot of people said, well, they should have gotten a pass rusher instead of the inside guy from Clemson. But I think they had a good draft on top of that. So
I believe they add Vontez Burfict, too, if he's got anything left, which will add more head cases for the Gruden bunch. But if they can actually figure out how to control him, then you got good football players.
Well, Jim Haslett loves him. He thinks he's a heck of a player. We're going to have, by the way, I talked to John Gruden, and he's going to be on on our program on an interview here shortly.
That's going to be incredible. Yeah, John Gruden, you're not going to find those interviews anywhere else except for Talk Football with Coach K, and we're lucky to get to hear those interviews. John Gruden coming up here soon. Jim Haslett has been in studio, former Saints coach and Cincinnati linebackers coach many of times down here, and friend. You had a chance to draft him when he was the Defensive Player of the Year back there for Buffalo, and a guy that is going to have his hands full this year because Cincinnati is got a lot to prove, and the old days of the Bungles, they might be close to that again if they don't get their act together, because they're not looking good in the early offseason to me.
Well, Jim had some surgery, and he's not coaching this year. He had to step away from it for a year.
Probably a good year to step away from Cincinnati.
Yeah. He had an artificial ankle,
and
he's done with a knee and a shoulder. So he's had a lot of things here. He just physically was unable to do it this year. He'll be back, but it won't be this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned Oakland. I think one guy in Josh Jacobs, Alabama running back.
Yeah.
He is the kind of guy that he can do it all. The extension of the run game has been passing those screen passes. Think about the Le'Veon Bells, Camaras, the Gurleys. Jacobs can play that way, and he's a heck of a player that's only gotten better. I thought that was a great pick as well. College football, we're excited about it. The NFL this year, right around the corner. We only have about a couple minutes left, so Coach, I know that you always like to thank all of the great sponsors for making the show possible, and we have some good ones.
We do, and we've talked about the Levin Papantonio Law Firm, not only what they can do professionally, but what they've done for the community. Bob Tyler, Toyota, and the deals that you can get out there. Also at Hill Kelly, and with Tom Thumb, with the shooting range out there north of Car City. And don't forget, we've still got that ice cream special on at Damien's Ice Cream. So.
We'll post that for the people out there checking in. Coach, always great to work with you.
Same here.
Absolutely. Yeah. For Coach K. Stevenson, I'm Chad Brilliante. Have a great rest of your night or afternoon. Enjoy it. We'll be back for the Sports Drive. Coming up, Stephen A. Smith right here on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
From coast to coast, the Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics. Taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. And I'm joined now by our ESPN NFL insider, Jeff Darlington, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What's up, Jeff?
Well, what's up? I saw on my schedule that Stephen A. Smith wanted to be on the show, and I wondered why. And then I see that Will Kane is interviewing me, and now it all makes sense.
Are you telling me that Stephen A. himself doesn't ask for you on his show? So you were like, I finally made it. I finally broke through.
I don't think he has much of a need for me, and I was, I think we have a nice rapport. I just didn't know that even when the big lights are on, you still have me on. So it seems a lot.
I'm sorry to let you down. It's not Stephen A. It is Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. It's the middle of July, Jeff, but we have NFL news. And in fact, it's a pretty big story. Melvin Gordon, Los Angeles Chargers running back, has told the Chargers either give him a new deal or trade him. Do you anticipate this is going to work out for Melvin Gordon?
Well, it's a tricky one because it feels more like a little bit of a warning shot, right? It's the middle of July. It's a quiet time. The agent knows that he can kind of control the news cycle with this message. The problem is he's dealing with a team that notoriously doesn't care about this kind of stuff. Like, I got to be honest, I kind of feel like the Chargers are going to sit back and say, wait a second, Melvin Gordon's not going to be on the field. He's going to be resting his body, and he's going to take some time off and come back fully, a guy who could probably play a 16-game season, which he hasn't done all along. I feel like they have some ammunition to be able to balk at that. I understand exactly where Melvin Gordon is coming from the standpoint that he is a guy that they need. Good luck trying to win a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers if you don't have an effective running back. He needs to have that ammunition on offense. But ultimately, I just don't think that this warning shot in itself is going to be enough to really move the meter with the Chargers.
Yeah, the question isn't, I think, whether or not he reports to training camp, but whether or not he's going to pull a Le'Veon Bell. He's in the his fifth year option with the Chargers, set to pay him $5.6 million. Here's the thing, though, Darlington. I've felt like this has been coming. this idea that there's going to be a correction in the running back market.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a good thing for the players. It's not going to be a good thing for the running backs themselves. Le'Veon Bell type deals, Todd Gurley type deals, Devonta Freeman type deals. I start to wonder, Jeff, does everybody get those deals? Does the next guy up get it? Does Melvin Gordon? And maybe does Ezekiel Elliott? And I think sooner or later, one of these teams are going to go, no, we're not going to pay our running back that money.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, not only they can also look at the team in their city with the LA Rams who paid Todd Gurley, and then now are looking at this saying, shoot, what are we dealing with when it comes to Gurley's knee? Is this a situation that's going to linger and cause this to be a bad deal? So you're right. The question Melvin Gordon has to answer is he has to do the math. Le'Veon Bell, the offer that he had from the Pittsburgh Steelers was actually really competitive. He probably should have taken that deal.
Yeah, he lost money. He lost money doing that deal. Yeah.
So Melvin Gordon, though, if the deal is incredibly insulting, Le'Veon Bell was going for an absurd amount of money. If Gordon is being more rational with what he's expecting and the Chargers aren't moving at all, then I understand, like, he potentially could do the math and say, if I sit out most of the season, and I get my accrued season and I can hit free agency, then I will ultimately make more money. But that's a numbers game. I don't think that's as much about positional value as it is him saying, I mean, it is because he's got to project what he's going to get paid in free agency. But if the Chargers aren't putting any value on the position, then it absolutely does feel like that they should either move on or trade him. The problem for the Chargers is you've got Phillip Rivers at a point where if you're going to make a run, you're not selling season tickets even after a really good season. You're trying to win some of the market share in that market, and you're trying to get a Super Bowl for Phillip Rivers. If you don't have an effective running back, it's not going to happen.
Talking to ESPN NFL insider Jeff Darlington here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Will Kane in for Stephen A. Do you get a sense, Jeff, you talk to a lot of teams, a lot of front offices, a lot of head coaches. Do you get a sense that there is going to be some kind of correction in the running back market? Are teams out there thinking, hey, why am I going to pay $13, $14, $15 million a year for a running back when I have Austin Eckler, right? That's who the Chargers just got behind Melvin Gordon. When I have a cheaper option that might not be that much worse behind him, do you think teams are going to start moving that way?
Well, you have some really good experiments that will occur in 2019 that will probably speak one way or the other to what you're talking about. Because if you look in Kansas City, for instance, they lose Kareem Hunt. Now, they lose him in a different circumstance. It wasn't by choice. But now they have a guy in Damian Williams who they're saying, well, we have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. If all of a sudden the Chiefs fall off without Kareem Hunt, suddenly that position, again, gets added value. But then you have, with the New York Jets, a coach who does not feel like his running back that they just paid should have gotten that much money in Le'Veon Bell. We'll see how effective he is. Is he going to earn the dollars that he's making? So I think that we have a number of situations around the league right now that will establish that price. Really good experiments that exist right now for a guy like Melvin Gordon, who eventually will enter free agency. But to your point, if it's not a generational player who stayed very healthy throughout his first contract, I absolutely think that teams are going to be much more resistant to the idea of paying these guys.
Yeah, and Jeff, and I think the real test, the real one that's going to tell us the future of this position and whether or not running backs get paid into their second contract in the NFL is going to be Ezekiel Elliott, who's right behind Melvin Gordon in years. Will the Cowboys pay Ezekiel Elliott, or will they look?
They will, by the way, Will.
So they will not look to replace him with